Hello, welcome back. We are looking at, we are continuing on looking at the organization at tissue level. Okay, the organization at tissue level. We looked at the last time we met. We looked at the connective tissue. I mean the epithelial tissue, which we identified as a layer that usually does the covering of the internal and the external lumen of the organism. Today, moving on, we are looking at another tissue called the connective tissue. Okay. The characteristics of this connective tissue is that it is incredibly diverse and contributes to energy storage and protection of organs, as well as the body's structural integrity. So our main objective after this discussion, you should be able to describe the main characteristics and functions of the connective tissue. Key terms that we're going to find here are extracellular matrix, which simply means or refers to the cells of the connective tissue that are suspended in a non-cellular matrix that provides structural and biochemical support to the surrounding cells. Fibroblasts, which is a type of cell found in connective tissue that synthesizes the extracellular matrix and collagen. Then connective tissue, which is a type of tissue found in animals, okay, whose main function is to bind, support, and anchor the body. Bind, support, and anchor. I'm sure it gives you an idea of what these type of tissues are supposed to be. These are connective in nature because by binding, you are connecting. You are connecting this part to the other part. That is what it means to bind, even in English. Supporting, you are offering support, meaning there is attachment, okay? Or there is an anchorage to the body. So this is what will be referred to as a connective tissue, okay? So this is one of the four main classes of the tissues. Although it is most abundant and widely distributed of the primary tissues, the amount of connective tissue in a particular organ varies. Like it is just in any other sector where you build, you find that the amount of support that you put to any other structure that you put, including something that you just make up, including a house, a timber framing house or something, the amount of support that you are going to give to that structure will be varied. Some structure or some corners may have a lot of support, while others may not have a lot of support. So that is how varied this presence of connective structure is to the to the body parts. It's not that every part and everywhere it has intense support. It is varied according to the need. Structure of the connective tissue is that it has three main components. It has what are referred to as ground substances, fiber, and cells. Together, the ground substances and the fiber make up what is known as the extracellular matrix. The composition of these three elements vary tremendously from one organ to the other, and this offers great diversity in the types of connective tissue. These ground substances is a clear, colorless, viscous fluid that fills the space between the cells and the fibers. It is composed of proteoglycans, cell adhesions, okay? Cell adhesion proteins. These are type of proteins that bind, those that put together, sticky kind of proteins that bring things together, that hold things together, that allow the connective tissue to act as a glue for the cells to attach to the matrix. So we remember where we're coming from. We are saying it offers support. And now this support cannot just be offered from anywhere. There has to be something that is attaching one point to the next. And these are the adhesion proteins that we are talking about now. The ground substances function as a molecular sieve, okay? As a molecular sieve for substances to travel between blood, capillaries, and the cells. Therefore, these connective tissue fibers provide support, and the three types of these fibers, the three types of fibers found in connective tissues are: number one, collagen; number two, elastic fibers; and reticular fibers. Let's talk about each one of them. Collagen fibers are the strongest and the most abundant of all the connective tissue fibers. Okay, they are fibrous proteins and are secreted into the extracellular space, which provide tensile strength and strength to the matrix. Okay, whereby elastic fibers, as the name suggests, they are those that make up the branching network of extracellular matrix. They help the connective tissue to stretch and recoil. They are those that want to stretch and recoil. Reticular fibers are short, fine, collagenous fibers that can branch extensively to form a delicate network. So let's build on. Functions of the connective tissue. The major functions of this connective tissue include the binding and supporting, protecting, insulating, storing, reservoir, and supporting substances in the body. So this should give you an idea of those, and amongst them, the ligaments should be amongst the things that should be at the back of your mind. Okay, so let's look at the type of these connective tissues. Okay, we've already talked about the different types. So here, the objective will be that you should be able to describe the diverse types of these connective tissues. Okay, among them, we shall come across the terms such as the cartilage, which is a type of dense, non-vesicular connective tissue, or avascular connective tissue, usually found in the ends of the joints and ribs, as well as those in the ear. So the cartilage, part of it is the cartilaginous bone. They are the ones that are made up of this non-vesicular connective tissue. Adipose tissue, which is a connective tissue that stores fat and cushions, as well as insulates the body. So these are some of the functions of fat in the body. Blood, which is a vital liquid flowing in the body of many types of animals that usually conveys nutrients and oxygen. In vertebrates, it is red colored because it contains hemoglobin. Okay, it is conveyed in arteries and veins and is pumped by the heart, and which is generally generated in the bone marrow. So blood is also referred to as a liquid connective tissue because it connects through these organs, through one part to the next. Connective tissue is divided into four main categories. Number one, which is known as connective tissue proper: cartilage, bone, and blood. Okay. So, connective tissue proper has two subclasses: the loose and dense connective tissue. Okay. The loose connective tissue under connective tissue proper is divided again into areola, adipose, and reticular. Okay. Dense connective tissue is divided into dense, regular, dense, irregular, and elastic connective tissue. So let's start with loose connective tissue, areola connective tissue. Okay. Areola connective tissue, these are tissues that are widely distributed and serve as a universal packing material between the other tissues. The function of areola connective tissue include the support and the binding of other tissues. It also helps in defending against infection, and when the body region is inflamed, the areola tissue in the area soaks up the excess fluid as a sponge, and the affected area swells and becomes powerful, a condition called edema. Okay, it facilitates the swelling by soaking up the fluid that is arising, excess fluid that is arising from inflammation. Adipose tissue or body fat, cellulose connective tissue composed of adipocytes. Okay, it is technically composed of roughly 80% of fat. Its main role is to store energy in form of lipids, although it also cushions and insulates other body parts. Okay, there are two types of adipose tissue: white adipose tissue and brown adipose tissue. They are found in specific locations referred to as adipose deposits, depending on their on the need of the tissue in which they are found. Okay. Reticular connective tissue, on the other hand, is a tissue that resembles the areolar connective tissue, but the only fibers in its matrix are the reticular fibers, which form a delicate network. Therefore, with reticular tissue, the reticular tissue is limited to certain sites of the body, such as the internal framework that can support lymph nodes and others. So here, what we're trying to look at is understand these different body parts and understand the type of tissues that they contain and the characteristic of those tissues. So this is the bottom line. And this is why when we talk about this, there are even examples of the organs in which these tissues are. Dense regular connective tissue consists of closely packed bundles of collagen fibers running in the same direction. Okay, these collagen fibers are slightly wavy and they can stretch a bit. Okay, with the tensile strength of collagen, this tissue forms tendons, aponeurosis, as well as ligaments. So the ligaments, the tendons, and the aponeurosis, they are made up of what is referred to as the dense regular connective tissue, which has these characteristics. Okay, it also forms the fascias, fibrous membranes, all those that wrap around the muscles as well as the blood vessels, including the nerves. Dense irregular tissue has the same structure elements as the dense irregular has the same structural elements as dense regular tissue, but the bundles of collagen fibers are much thicker and arranged in an irregular manner. Okay, they are found in areas where tension is exerted from many different directions. Okay, such as the skin, the damage of the skin, joint capsules of the limb. Okay, then we have the elastic connective tissues, where the main fibers that form this tissue are elastic in nature. These fibers allow for tissues to recoil after stretching. That is the characteristic of the any elastic material. This is especially seen in arterial blood vessels and the walls of the bronchial tubes. These ones have the capacity to recoil after stretching. A cartilage, it is a flexible connective tissue found in many areas of the body of the humans other than animals, which include the joints, between the bones, the rib cage, the trachea, and all those that contain the cartilage. Cartilage is composed of specialized cells called chondroblasts. And unlike other connective tissue, cartilage does not contain blood vessels, so it is avascular. Okay, cartilage is classified in three types. There's what is known as elastic cartilage, hyaline cartilage, and fibrocartilage, which differ in the relative amount of these three main components. So let's look at each one of them. The elastic cartilage. It is similar to hyaline cartilage, but it is more elastic in nature. So we know where we have most of these cartilages that have a tendency to recoil. Those are referred to as elastic cartridge. Its function is to maintain the shape of the structure while allowing flexibility. It is found in the external ear, known as the auricle, as well as in the epiglottis. The epiglottis is made up of this structure known as the elastic cartilage, whereby hyaline cartilage is most abundant of all cartilage in the body. Okay, it appears transparent, glassy when viewed under a microscope, and it provides strong support while providing pads for shock absorption. Okay, the major part in which it is found is in embryonic skeleton, costal cartilages of the ribs, and the nose, trachea, as well as the larynx. Hyaline cartilage. It is the most abundant and kind of stronger. Fibrocartilage is a blend of hyaline and dense regular connective tissue because it is compressible and resists tension. It has the capacity to resist tension. Fibrocartilage is found where strong support and ability to withstand heavy pressure are required. It is found in the intervertebral discs of the bones and vertebrae, as well as the knee, the meniscus, where a lot of shock is needed. Remember, the knee has to bear the weight of all the body, and it has to come through for us not to have injuries in the knee. There has to be that shock absorber, which is this type of cartilage, which is very strong. The bone is also called an osseous tissue. Osseous tissue are relatively hard and lightweight in nature. Okay, so the outer layer of the bones is composed of a compact bone, so-called due to its minimal gaps and spaces and the opacity. So here what we're just trying to say is that the bone tissue, these cartilages do a lot of work, and part of it is cushioning. So in front of the bone tissue, there is this cartilage that is there so that you cushion the impact or you protect also the grating of the bone between one another. Okay. Blood is considered a specialized form of connective tissue. It is a body fluid in animals that delivers necessary substances such as nutrients and oxygen to the cells and transports metabolic waste products away from the same cells. So blood moves oxygenation around, it moves nutrients around, as well as moving away metabolites, thereby connecting from one region to the other. So it is referred to as a liquid connective tissue. Okay, so this is where we end this particular presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.